Full story, he sent me pics until I destroyed his life. College was supposed to be simple. At least, that's what I told myself. Classes, library, coffee breaks, the occasional movie night with my roommate, Sarah. Nothing fancy, nothing wild. I wasn't that girl who partied until sunrise or posted bikini shots on Instagram for attention. I liked my quiet little bubble of lecture halls and late-night ramen. Until that night. It was around 11 p.m. I was curled up on my bed, scrolling through lecture notes on my phone while Sarah binge-watched a dating reality show on her laptop. My phone buzzed, and I grabbed it without thinking. I was expecting a meme from a friend or maybe a notification about tomorrow's class. Instead, my heart stopped. A picture filled my screen. Not a normal photo. A close-up of a man's erection. No face. No words. Just him. The lighting was dim but deliberate, like he had put effort into this disgusting act. The angle made it obvious it wasn't a mistake. It was a performance. I remember my breath catching in my throat, my brain struggling to process what I was even looking at. For a moment, I thought maybe I clicked something by accident. But then I saw the caption. Thinking about you. I dropped my phone like it was on fire. What the actual hell? Sarah paused her show, raising an eyebrow. What's wrong? I picked up my phone with shaking hands and turned the screen to her. Her jaw dropped. Oh, my God. Who sent that? I looked at the number. Unknown. No name, no context. Just a random, unregistered number. I felt my stomach twist. It wasn't just the image itself. It was the fact that someone out there knew me enough to send it. This wasn't some spam bot. The caption made it personal. Sarah wrinkled her nose. EW, block him. Creeps like that are everywhere. I blocked the number immediately. Tried to laugh it off. But something about the image lingered. It wasn't just vulgar. It was intimate, like whoever took it wanted me to look. 2 days later, I got another one. Different number. Same type of photo. This time, he was holding himself with one hand, like he was presenting it to me. The message said, "Bet you miss me." I wanted to scream. Miss him? I didn't even know who the hell he was. My heart pounded as I deleted the picture, but even as I did, a part of me felt strange. It was like the shock made me hyper-aware of everything. The worst part? I caught myself staring for a second before deleting it. I hated that. I hated how my body reacted before my brain caught up, like some messed up reflex. I slammed my phone face down on the bed, my cheeks burning with anger and shame. The third picture was worse. It came in the middle of the night. My phone buzzed, waking me up. I groggily reached for it, only to see him again. This time, the photo was even more graphic. Different angle. His hand gripping himself tightly, veins visible, like he was showing off. But that wasn't the worst part. There was a note in the background with my name written on it. My name. I froze. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a random creep. This was someone who knew me. I couldn't sleep after that. I sat on my bed with the phone in my hand, my heart thundering. Sarah was asleep, so I just stared at the ceiling, my mind spinning. Who would do this? Someone from class? A guy I'd smiled at once? Was I being watched? The paranoia started sinking in. I began checking my windows, locking the door twice, even avoiding walking home alone at night. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped like it was a bomb. But the worst part? A tiny, horrible part of me couldn't stop thinking about that image. Not because I wanted it, but because it was so personal. Raw. I felt dirty for even noticing details like the way his skin looked or how deliberate the angle was. Like he was trying to seduce me while disgusting me at the same time. I wanted to throw my phone away, but I also wanted to know, who the hell was this? After that third picture, the one with my name scrawled in the background, I thought I'd reached my limit. I blocked the number so fast I didn't even hesitate. I even called my service provider, hoping they could trace the number or do anything to stop it. But they couldn't help. I told Sarah about it the next morning, my voice trembling as I showed her the blurred screenshots. She looked horrified. Are you serious? This is criminal. You should go to the police, she said. But I didn't. Something about it felt complicated and messy. I didn't even know who the guy was. How would I explain it? Hi, officer. Some creep is sending me explicit photos, but I don't know his name, face, or anything about him except his anatomy. It sounded ridiculous. It felt hopeless. For a few days, My phone stayed quiet, and I thought maybe I'd won. Maybe blocking him had worked. I was wrong. The fourth photo came a week later, this time from a different number. The message? Miss me? My stomach knotted as I opened it. The photo was worse now, different. He was standing in front of a mirror this time, holding himself in one hand, the phone visible in the reflection. I zoomed in, noticing the confidence in the pose, and it made my skin crawl. He wasn't ashamed. He wasn't hiding. He was proud. I blocked him again, deleted the picture, and tried to shake it off. But the next day, I woke up to 2 more photos from 2 different numbers. No messages this time, just him. Always him. Different angles, close-ups, so raw and graphic that I had to throw my phone on the bed like it was dirty. Soon, I couldn't focus in class anymore. Every time my phone buzzed during a lecture, my heart jumped into my throat. I started keeping my phone on airplane mode just to avoid the anxiety. At night, I'd lie awake wondering if I'd seen him before. Was he someone I passed on campus? Someone in my classes? My mind kept replaying the faces of every guy I knew, twisting them into potential suspects. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, he found another way to reach me. It started on Instagram. I got a DM request from an account with no profile picture, no name, no posts. I wouldn't have opened it, but I saw the preview. Bet you can't stop thinking about me. My chest tightened. I opened the message, and there it was. Another photo. Another disgusting, intimate shot. I blocked the account. An hour later, a new account followed me. Another message. Another photo. Block. Delete. Report. This became my routine, over and over, like a sick game of digital whack-a-mole. No matter how many accounts I blocked, he just made new ones. And here's the part one hate admitting. After a while, the shock started to fade. I got used to it, used to the idea of some faceless creep sending me photos of himself. I still hated him for it, but sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself thinking about them. About him. Not because I wanted him, God, no. But because there was something about the audacity of it, the way he didn't care about being caught. It twisted my mind, making me feel conflicted. Like I was part of a game I never agreed to play. And every time I felt that flicker of curiosity, I hated myself even more. Sarah noticed something was off. You've been so quiet lately. Are you sure you don't want to tell someone? A teacher? Campus security? She asked. I just shook my head. I didn't want to be that girl. The one everyone whispers about. I just wanted it to stop. But it wasn't stopping. The more I ignored him, the more photos I got. Some nights, I'd get 2 or 3 in a row. One night, I got 7 photos in less than an hour. Each one worse than the last, like he was trying to shock me into responding. Then came the voice note. It was from an unknown number, no text, just a 10-second audio clip. I hesitated before playing it. It was him. His voice. Breathing heavy, whispering. I know you see me. I know you like it. I dropped my phone like it was poison. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely lock the screen. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. He wasn't going to stop. I started noticing things. Not just about the photos, but about him. Whoever he was, he had this obsession with perfection. Every shot felt intentional, almost artistic, if you can call something like that art. The angles were always precise, like he'd spent hours studying what would look the most flattering. The lighting was never random. Sometimes it was dim and moody, other times it was bright, almost clinical. It was creepy. And the backgrounds. That's what started to haunt me the most. At first, I never looked past the obvious. I just saw what he wanted me to see. But one night, when I was deleting yet another string of his disgusting pictures, my eyes lingered. Behind him, I noticed details. A corner of a desk. A stack of books. A mug with a chipped handle. It hit me. These weren't random shots. They were pieces of his life. Little glimpses of where he was, who he might be. One photo showed a laptop screen reflected in a mirror. It was blurry, but I could tell it wasn't porn or anything obvious. Looked like a college website or maybe a presentation slide. Another picture had a faint reflection of his face, barely visible, but enough to make my stomach twist. And that's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. He wasn't just showing me his body, he was showing me himself. He wanted me to know him. It wasn't just harassment anymore. It felt like a game. Like he was teasing me, daring me to figure out who he was. I didn't know what to feel. One part of me was absolutely disgusted. I hated him. I hated the way my heart would skip every time my phone buzzed because I didn't know if I was about to see something that would make me sick. But there was another part, one I don't like admitting, that was curious. Sometimes, I'd stare at the photos longer than I should have, my mind filled with questions. Why is he doing this? Does he think I like it? Is he laughing every time I block him? And yes, there were moments, tiny, shameful moments, where I felt something else. Something I can't even fully explain. The confidence in his photos, the way he wasn't afraid to show himself, it messed with my head. I hated that my body would react before my brain screamed at me to stop looking. I told myself I wasn't going to let him win. So I started studying the photos like a detective. The chipped mug appeared in 3 different shots. The stack of books? In one picture, the title on the spine was just barely visible, something about engineering. Then there was the one that made my skin crawl, a close-up shot, nothing in the background except the faintest reflection on a shiny surface. I zoomed in and saw the tiniest sliver of his face. Not enough to recognize him. Just a jawline. But it was there. I started saving every picture instead of deleting them, creating a hidden folder on my phone. I told myself it was evidence, but part of me knew I was just trying to make sense of it all. Every time he sent a new photo, I'd look for clues. A towel in the background. A watch on his wrist. A reflection in his phone screen. I was piecing together a puzzle I wasn't sure I wanted to solve. Sarah noticed I was spending too much time on my phone. One night she asked, "Are you okay? You're looking at those pictures again, aren't you?" I couldn't answer. What could I say? That I was studying the private photos of some creep because I wanted to know who he was? That I was weirdly fascinated by him, even while I hated him. I felt trapped in this spiral of emotions, anger, disgust, fear, curiosity. It was like he'd taken control of my mind without ever saying a word. Then came the photo that changed everything. It was late, almost midnight, when my phone buzzed. I hesitated, knowing what was waiting for me. But when I opened it, my breath caught. There, in the corner of the photo, was something I recognized. A bracelet. A simple leather band with a silver clasp. I'd seen it before. Not in a store. Not online. On someone I knew. I stared at that bracelet like my eyes were burning holes into the screen. A simple, worn leather strap with a silver clasp, something you'd barely notice unless you'd seen it 100 times. And I had. It was the same bracelet worn by Daniel. Daniel, the campus golden boy. The guy every professor adored, who always sat front row during lectures, answering questions like he had the textbook memorized. He wasn't just popular, he was respected. Seniors admired him. Juniors wanted to be like him. Girls whispered about him in hallways like he was some kind of celebrity. And I respected him too. I looked up to him. There was no way. No. It couldn't be him. But the bracelet, there was no mistaking it. It was his signature thing, like part of his identity. He wore it everywhere. During debates. At the library. Even during the campus cultural fest, I'd noticed it peeking out from under his rolled-up sleeves. My heart started pounding so hard I felt sick. I pulled up all the photos I'd saved, scrolling through them like a madwoman. In one, I saw the edge of a wooden desk. It looked familiar. My brain flashed to Daniel's Instagram, a picture he'd posted last month of his study setup. Same desk. Same mug. It was him. I dropped my phone onto the bed and just stared at the ceiling, my stomach twisting in knots. Daniel? Him? This wasn't some random creep hiding behind fake numbers. This was a guy who gave motivational speeches at college events. A guy professors praised for his character and leadership. A guy who'd once helped me carry my books when I tripped outside the lecture hall. And now, I couldn't unsee it. I spent the next few days in a haze, watching him from a distance. Every time I saw him on campus, laughing with friends, giving that charming smile, I felt this wave of anger and disbelief crash over me. He looked so normal, so untouchable. Did anyone else know? Was I the only one seeing this side of him? Part of me wanted to confront him right then and there, to scream in his face and show everyone the evidence. But another part of me was terrified. What if I was wrong? What if I was just seeing what I wanted to see because I hated him now? I needed proof. More proof. The next time I saw him in class, I couldn't stop staring at his wrist. The bracelet was there. I wanted to rip it off and throw it in his face. My phone buzzed that evening. Another photo. Another present from the anonymous number. This time, I didn't feel scared or disgusted. I felt rage. Because now I could see his hand, his bracelet, his desk. There was no denying it anymore. It was Daniel. The guy I'd once respected, now reduced to this pathetic, disgusting secret life. But the worst part? The next day, when I ran into him near the cafeteria, he smiled at me. That same warm, charming smile that made everyone around him think he was a saint. And I forced myself to smile back. Because he had no idea that I knew. Inside, though, I was already planning. The next time I saw him, I froze. Daniel was standing at the library entrance, holding the door open for a group of students. He looked exactly the same as always, perfectly put together, that easy, boyish grin on his face. The kind of smile that made people feel safe, respected, admired. But now, when I looked at him, all I could see was the disgusting string of pictures he had sent me. The smugness in those photos, the way he flaunted himself like some twisted form of art, while everyone else saw him as a model student. It was like watching a devil dressed as an angel. He spotted me. "Hey, you're here late again," he said, stepping closer, that same warm tone he used with everyone. I smiled. Or at least I think I did. It felt more like my face was cracking apart. "Yeah, just finishing an assignment," I muttered. Every second I stood there, I felt my skin crawl. His hands, those same hands I'd seen too many times in those pictures, were casually tucked into his pockets, like he was completely innocent. Like he wasn't the reason my phone had become a battlefield. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell the world what he'd done. But I didn't. I played along. The next few weeks were torture. I saw him almost every day at the library during group projects at campus events. And every single time I had to pretend. Pretend that I didn't know. Pretend that his presence didn't make me want to scrub my skin raw. Worse, he still smiled at me. Still talked to me like he was some mentor, asking about my grades, cracking light jokes, giving me tips on how to improve my study habits. I wanted to grab that fake, friendly face and tear the mask off. The images in my phone kept replaying in my mind. I'd look at his hands while he gestured during conversations and remember the way he held himself in those photos. Confident, cocky, like he thought I was lucky to see him. And yet, there were moments, fleeting ones, that disturbed me even more. Moments when my body reacted before my mind could. A flicker of heat when I recalled certain images. I hated myself for it. He wanted me to feel that way. That was the game. The power. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. If he could do this to me, how many others had he targeted? How many girls were too scared, too ashamed to say anything? Every time I passed him in the hallway, every time I saw him surrounded by friends, laughing, being praised by professors, I felt that fire in my chest burn hotter. I wasn't just angry. I was done. Daniel didn't know it yet, but the mask he wore was starting to crack. And I was going to be the one to rip it off. I thought I was alone. For weeks, I carried the weight of his disgusting secret like a lead brick strapped to my chest. Every time I saw him laughing with friends or casually flirting with girls in the cafeteria, I wanted to scream, "Do you know what he's really like? Do you know what he sends to people when no one's looking?" But one conversation changed everything. It happened at a late-night study session in the campus lounge. I was sitting with Claire, a quiet girl from my English lit class. We were both half dead from cramming, sipping cold coffee, when her phone buzzed. She froze. Just for a split second. But I noticed. "You okay?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, just some spam," she muttered, shoving her phone face down on the table. But there was something in her tone. Something I recognized. The same heaviness I'd been carrying. "Claire," I said softly, "did someone send you something weird?" Her head snapped up, eyes wide like I'd read her mind. For a moment, she looked like she might deny it. But then her shoulders slumped, and she whispered, "You too?" It felt like a dam breaking. Claire pulled out her phone, hesitated, then showed me. My stomach turned. The angle, the background, the cocky, disgusting pose. It was him. The same kind of photo I'd been receiving. "That guy, he just won't stop," she said, voice trembling. I blocked him. "He keeps coming back from different numbers." I thought I was going crazy. I stared at her screen, fury rising like acid. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was his thing. He was hunting girls, preying on them. After that night, I started asking questions. Carefully, subtly, like I was testing the waters. And the answers were horrifying. 3 other girls, all with the same story. Late-night messages, random numbers, unsolicited, filthy photos. One of them, Sarah, confessed she deleted everything because she was too ashamed to keep them. Another, Priya, said she started avoiding campus events just to make sure she didn't run into him. And then there was Mia, who broke down crying, saying she thought she was special because he acted so normal in person, like nothing happened. That's when I realized we weren't just victims. We were his collection. I gathered them together one night in my dorm room. It was awkward at first. No one wanted to say the word pictures. No one wanted to relive it. But once the story started spilling out, there was no stopping it. The anger was universal. The humiliation. The fear. Why is he still walking around like nothing's wrong? Claire snapped. Because none of us spoke up, Priya said quietly. We were too embarrassed. He knew we wouldn't say anything. That silence? That was his power. And in that moment, I knew it had to end. We're going to stop him, I said. Not just for us, but for every girl he thinks he can treat like this. We're going to take him down. The room went quiet. Then Sarah whispered, How? I didn't have the full plan yet. But I knew this. We had the evidence. We had the truth. And if we stood together, we could be louder than his lies. One by one, they nodded. The fear turned into anger. The anger turned into fire. We weren't alone anymore. And that meant he was about to face something he never saw coming. The plan didn't come together overnight. It started with hushed conversations, a mix of anger and fear, and a shared determination to end his twisted game. For weeks, we'd all been suffering in silence, thinking we were alone. But now we were a team. We created a private WhatsApp group called The Reckoning, just us 5 girls, and the mission was simple. Gather everything. Every screenshot. Every text. Every disgusting photo he'd ever sent. Claire still had a few saved, hidden away like evidence of a crime. Mia had kept some out of pure rage. I had hundreds, each one like a scar, but this time, they felt like weapons. We pooled them together, and it was horrifying to see how many of us he'd targeted, how long this had been going on, how brazen he was with all of us. It wasn't just harassment. It was a pattern and obsession. One night, Priya said something that sent chills through me. I think one of his photos has a reflection of his face. In the mirror behind him. We all froze. We found the picture she was talking about, zoomed in, and our breath caught. It was blurry, but you couldn't deny it. His face, the same smirk he wore when he walked around campus, like he owned the place. The golden boy everyone admired. Professors adore him. Freshmen had crushes on him. And now we all knew the monster behind that perfect image. We didn't want to just expose him. We wanted to strip away every ounce of the fake respect he'd built. We spent days compiling everything, building a folder so detailed it felt like a case file. Every screenshot was labeled, every message time-stamped, every girl's experience written down in raw detail. We added voice notes too, recordings of us describing what he'd done to us, how we felt, humiliated, violated, unsafe. By the time we were done, the file was over 40 pages long. It was disgusting, but also powerful. It was proof. Proof that couldn't be twisted or denied. We picked the perfect moment to drop it. A Friday night when the campus would be alive on social media, everyone scrolling, gossiping, ready to feast on drama. At exactly 8 p.m., we released it. The entire file, along with a simple post. This is what your golden boy has been doing to women. We are done being silent. The reaction was instant and explosive. Phones started buzzing all over campus. Group chats lit up like fireworks. Is this real? Oh my God, I knew he was weird, but this? What the hell is wrong with him? By 9 p.m., the screenshots were everywhere. Instagram stories, TikToks, even Twitter threads were blowing up with people dissecting every message. He couldn't hide anymore. His perfect little mask had shattered, and everyone was watching the pieces fall. And then we sent it to his parents. Claire wrote the email, her hands shaking but her voice steady. You need to see what your son has been doing. Attached are the photos he sent to us and other girls. We thought you should know what kind of man he's become." Less than an hour later, his mom's Facebook page went private. Someone claimed they saw his dad leave the house in a rage. We didn't know for sure, but we could imagine the chaos hitting their family like a wrecking ball. By Saturday morning, his reputation was gone. Professors who had once praised him were silent. Students were tagging the university's official page, demanding they take action. One tweet went viral overnight. "Golden boy or predator? Campus demands answers after harassment scandal." He didn't show up to class or to the gym or anywhere on campus after that. He was hiding, and for the first time, we weren't the ones who felt powerless. The fallout was brutal and fast, like watching a tower collapse in slow motion. By Monday morning, the campus wasn't just whispering. They were screaming his name like it was the punchline of a cruel joke. Every hallway, every bench, every coffee line was buzzing with the same conversation. How the golden boy wasn't so golden anymore. People who used to smile and wave at him now looked at their phones with disgust, scrolling through the screenshots that had already become infamous. His friends distanced themselves instantly. I saw them in the cafeteria, their faces pale, whispering about how they never knew and didn't want to be involved. The guy who used to hold court in the center of every party was now a ghost in group chats, kicked out of every club, blocked by everyone who didn't want the stink of his name to touch theirs. Then came the professors. A few days later, word got out that the university administration had summoned him. Apparently, they'd received hundreds of emails, not just from us but from students, demanding disciplinary action. The professors who once praised him in class wouldn't even say his name anymore. He wasn't the star student, the campus sweetheart. He was the scandal, the disgrace. But the worst blow came from his family. His parents found out everything. We knew because someone's cousin worked in his dad's office and overheard the meltdown. His mother cried, apparently screaming on the phone that he had destroyed the family's name. His father was livid, calling him a filthy embarrassment in front of relatives. Within a week, his social media profiles were wiped clean. No more smiling photos with his parents. No more comments from proud family members. By the second week, he was gone. Rumor had it his parents had pulled him out of the university, packed his things, and moved to another city to escape the humiliation. Their once proud son was now a cautionary tale, and nobody felt sorry for him. His name had become toxic. People joked about it in memes. Even freshmen were told, "Stay away from guys like him." And me? I thought I'd feel nothing but relief. But standing in the middle of all that chaos, I felt complicated. It wasn't joy, not exactly. It was heavier than that, like justice wrapped in something bittersweet. There was no one doing what he did, no way to erase the moments where I felt disgusted and trapped by his actions. But there was power in knowing he couldn't do it to anyone else anymore. He wasn't untouchable. He wasn't above consequence. I'd run into Claire and Mia that week, and we just hugged. No words needed. We'd done something big, not just for us, but for every girl who'd been made to feel small and ashamed because of someone like him. And for the first time in months, I felt free.